Nicki Minaj once said, "Let's go to the beach each. Let's go catch a wave." And that's exactly what we're doing. Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Now for today's video, I'm so excited to be talking about some light contemporary reads that are perfect for the summertime. It doesn't have to be for the beach, it doesn't have to be for vacation, it can just be for you, for those who are still stuck under lockdown and who are still stuck at home, such as like me. We are doing better here in Canada with our lockdown, but I'm still a little bit uncomfy leaving the house sometimes, so the only traveling that I am doing right now is actually through my books. So I thought that this video would be a great recommendation video for those who are actually heading out to the beach, going on vacation, or doing whatever they want to do in the hot summertime. These are light reads that are set in the summer and that remind you of the hot, sweltering heat outside. I'll be talking about some new to me authors as well, and some authors that I recently discovered, so hopefully you guys will be adding a lot of books to your TBR. So for the first book that I'm about to recommend you is actually a romance novella. They're under 100 pages. It's on Kindle Unlimited, so really if you're a fan of short reads, if you have Kindle Unlimited, I don't think you have an excuse not to pick up this one because it's a new to me author. She's a smaller author. She barely has any reviews on her Goodreads, and I discovered her randomly and it just sounded so amazing and so fun. So I picked it up and didn't really expect too much from it, but I ended up giving it a 5 out of 5 stars, and I also ended up reading all of the backlisted books that Cassie Mint actually wrote. So it's on Kindle Unlimited, so if you do have the subscription, definitely go check it out. But the book that I am recommending to you is actually 2 books, and she actually wrote 3 books in this series. The first one that I want to recommend to you is actually called Pool Girl, and this is an opposites attract romance. This is grumpy Miss Sunshine trope. This is a scarred hero versus someone who is so pure and so innocent. So if this is your catnip, definitely go check out this novella. I recommended it to my friends and they loved it. So this one involves a girl and she actually works in this mermaid museum thing going on. She dresses up as a mermaid during the day, swims around with the fishes, does a little show for the aquarium, and then she comes back and she goes to the pool because she just loves the water so much. And she actually hangs out by the pool a lot because there is someone special to her there. So our main hero is actually a war veteran. He is scarred, he has PTSD, he has a lot of things that are going on, but the one thing that brings him heaven or brings him happiness is actually looking at our female heroine. And he actually works near the pool. He actually has like a little office near the pool, and he's a maintenance person. So he views and watches her from afar, and he never feels like he is good enough for her. But she, on the opposite hand, feels like that she isn't good enough for him because she's still just a kid. There's an age gap difference too, as well, to this novella. I absolutely ate this one up. It was so fun to read. It definitely held more of an emotional level than I was expecting from a novella. And I loved our 2 characters when they were together. They were so fluffy, so cute. And what doesn't scream summer more than hanging out by the pool? So following up on that novella, it's another one that Cassie Mint actually wrote in July, I believe. This one's called Beach Baby, and this involves our female heroine who finds a secluded beach, and that's her safe space. Nobody has found it yet, so it's like in this corner of like this like long strip of beach that everybody else goes on. So she's able to swim, suntan, dive into the water, swim with the fishes, do whatever she wants to do. But one day while she is walking to that beach on the street, our hero actually spots her and immediately falls in love with her. So there is insta love in here. Our hero is an alpha hero, but he is a sweet alpha hero in a way, and he sees her and he is captivated by her. So he follows her to the beach, and he doesn't want to disrupt her because she looks like she is having a grand time there on the beach. So he tries to get her attention by buying up the beach, and then he lets her come to him. So she realizes that a developer has bought her beach. So she goes to the developer's office, which is our hero's office, and then she stomps her foot and she goes like, "Give me back my beach. Like, this is like the only place that makes me happy." And then he has a stipulation, which is like, you have to date me in order for me to give you back your beach. So it sounds really alpha like male, and it's like my catnip too, but I can understand that it might not be your catnip, but it's definitely an indulgence of a fantasy. And then if you're looking for a small town romance, then I have to recommend you the latest Tessa Bailey novel called It Happened One Summer. So if you guys are unfamiliar with the plotline, It Happened One Summer is actually based off this Canadian television show called Schitt's Creek. And Schitt's Creek involves a super rich family that loses all its money and has nowhere else to stay because the bank took over the house and the bank took over all the assets. And the only piece of asset that they have left is actually like a deed to the whole town of this like really small town called Schitt's Creek. And so the whole family is forced to move to Schitt's Creek and reestablish themselves. And then one of our heroines in that show is named Alexa, and Alexa is like a spoiled princess, and she's kind of like an airhead, and all she cares about is her looks and her Instagram followers and her fame. So It Happened One Summer by Tessa Bailey is actually based off that show and also based off that female heroine named Alexa that I just described. And so It Happened One Summer involves our female heroine and her sister having to go to the small town and reestablish themselves and basically learn how to make money and learn how to save money and basically learn how to be a proper human being, because all they've been knowing is how to be a social media influencer. And there she meets our grumpy hero, who is actually a fisherman, and he grabs a lot of fish and he works in the small town. The small town is all he knows. So he's angry when she stumbles into his life and disrupts his peaceful town. And this is kind of their romance. So I would recommend this one to you if you guys are into like small town romances and ones where our characters have a lot of character development. And then if you're looking for a more of an emotional read on the beach, so for example, if you read something from Emily Henry before and it's called Beach Read, and you want to read something with a little bit of substance, a little bit of emotions, a little bit of feelings behind your characters, then I would have to recommend you to read The Lucky Escape by Laura Jane Williams. So Laura Jane Williams actually wrote this one book called One Stop, and I love that one. That one was so good to me, and it was just so fun. So I always knew that Laura Jane Williams was an author for me to watch. She actually wrote this other book called like The Love Square before or something, and I haven't read that one yet, but I did read The Love Escape. So The Love Escape follows our female heroine who has been jilted at the altar. So things are not going as planned. So what she actually ends up doing is going on a honeymoon with a high school friend that she has met randomly. Like she accidentally bumped into him, and then she was just like, you know what? I've been living my life according to what my parents want me to do, what my boss wants me to do, what I feel like what I should do in society. So she decides to throw caution to the wind and go on a honeymoon with this high school friend, and they go to the resort and they have fun. They lay near the pool, they go to the beach, they suntan, they rediscover themselves, and they also talk about each other's like grief that they handled, because both characters have a lot of grief that they're holding on to, a lot of emotional things that they're holding on to, and they're rediscovering themselves and also rebuilding themselves a lot too as well, because they're unhappy with their past self. So you're going to go through this kind of like whole journey where they go on vacation and then they come back and they have to make decisions on what they want to keep in their lives in order for them to be happy still. So one of my personal goals after this whole lockdown quarantine thing ends, this whole pandemic ends, and I feel comfortable with traveling and I feel that we are at a good place to go traveling, is to visit Europe and specifically go to France and go see the Eiffel Tower. But until then, I can only see Paris through my books. And one of the books that I want to recommend to you is actually called Paris is Always a Good Idea by Jenn McKinlay. And I love this one. I read this one last year and I never expected me to like it as much, mostly because BookTube and Bookstagram weren't talking about it as much as I thought that they should talk about it. It's from Berkeley Romance. It has one of those illustrated covers, but you can trust that this one is going to be a good read, I guess. So basically this book is recommended to readers who liked The Hating Game by Sally Thorne, I would say. It has an enemies to lovers romance and it's an office romance, but involves like France, Italy, and also Ireland, because our female heroine is shocked that her father is deciding to remarry in France, and she is shocked because she thought that like if you married your one true love and that just so happened to be her mother, you know, you'll be satisfied with your life afterwards. Even if they passed away, like you would only want to be committed to that one person even after death. And so our female heroine's mom has unfortunately passed away, but our female heroine's father has moved on and is planning his second marriage. And she is coming to terms with like her father moving on while she is still dealing with that grief, and she's holding on to the memories of her mother, and she doesn't want to accept the fact that there is going to be a new motherly figure in her life no matter what age she's at right now. So she decides to quit her job at her office, which is like a charity fundraising place, and she wants to rediscover herself. So she thinks that the only way that she can rediscover herself is go back to her roots. And prior to her mom like passing away and things, she used to be very adventurous, and she will go to a lot of like vacations, and she'll go across to different countries. So she decides to go back to France, Ireland, and Italy, which is the 3 places that she went to prior to settling down and getting a full-time job, and go back and meet her boyfriends, because she had flings here and there every summer, and she wants to see if those 3 guys would be the one for her. So she goes there, meets the guys, and has fun and rediscovers herself. But then along the way back home in New York City, I think that's where she's based out of, her office needs her help, and her office enemy really needs her help. So they decide to work together on a project, even though she quit her job and even though she is on vacation. And it's like such an adorable, fun romance. And I felt like I was going to those 3 countries, and I felt like I was there with her. If you're looking for a book that's fun and that involves very like visceral descriptions of the countries, then definitely pick up this one. I don't think this summer TBR would be complete unless we have a second chance romance in a small town. And one of the authors that I hardly talk about here on my BookTube channel is a Canadian author known as Jenny Holiday. I love Jenny. Jenny is so sweet to me. She is so nice. She wrote 2 series with Forever Romance. One of them is called Bridesmaids Behaving Badly series. It's about 3 girls who are bridesmaids or brides, and it involves weddings. It's such a fun spring read. I would recommend that to you guys. But then she also kind of has a summer read, which is called the Matchmaker Bay series. And the first book, called Mermaid Inn, is actually a second chance small town romance. It's about our female heroine who left a small town that she vacationed in, and she went to Toronto and she became someone. She like did her thing, climbed the corporate ladder, you know, she's a boss there. But then what happens is that her aunt passes away, I believe, and then she has to come back to the small town and take over the bed and breakfast known as like the Mermaid Inn, and she has to fix up the place so that she could sell the place and get rid of it and like literally cut her ties clean from that small town, because in that small town something happened and she's not comfortable being there anymore, and the person responsible for it is actually her ex-boyfriend, who is now a police officer, and he's like a deputy chief person in that small town. So he's really shocked that she came back to the small town, because he literally spent like the last 10 years trying to forget her, and then here she is, all grown up and back in his life. They're both trying to figure out what they should do with their emotions, because they left on such a weird stage in their childhood years that they need to overcome a lot of things. If you want to read a romance novel that takes place on a small island that unfortunately does have hurricanes and tornado warnings, then you have to check out Meg Cabot's novel called No Judgements. Now, No Judgements is a novel that I feel like a lot of people are on the borderline with. I personally loved Meg Cabot's like series. I like the first book. I like the second book. They were good. But my friends and some of the reviewers that you'll see on Goodreads don't like it, and the rating is fairly low. You're gonna either have to trust me on this or you're just gonna have to skip it. But I enjoyed it. So No Judgments is about our female heroine who goes onto this little island, and then there I think she stays there on vacation. But then during that time in her vacation, crazy stuff starts happening. Like there are weather reports going out saying that you need to leave this island, because if you don't leave this island, like your house is going to be blown away and you are going with that house. And there she meets our grumpy hero, and she realizes that she's not going to leave the island because she just has too many things there. And then our hero doesn't want to leave the island too. So they both kind of hitch a plan together to both stay on the island and save the animals that unfortunately the owners are leaving behind, because they can't take them with them on planes and like car rides to different places to save themselves. So it's a fun series involving an island, tropical weather, and shenanigans. And I thought it was really fun. I like the lighthearted comedy that went along with this book. And then the last recommendation that I have for you is one about the airplane itself. Like, it's not a thriller. It sounds like I'm talking about thriller right now, like somebody's on the plane, we don't know who the killer is. No, it's a light-hearted romantic comedy that unfortunately I haven't read yet, but I am going to read it very soon because it sounds like it's right up my alley. It's called The Layover by Lacie Waldon, and now this one is a new romance that just came out this year in the summertime. It involves a female heroine who is actually a flight attendant, and she is ready to kind of like put up her suit for one last time and hanging up because she is over it. She doesn't want to be a flight attendant anymore. But then during her last flight with the person that she hates the most, which is also the pilot, so, she and him are involved in like this crash landing situation, and they have to like land in this one country and they have to be stuck there together. It's like a nice country, but they're just stuck there together, and they're stuck together at the resort, and they have no other company except for each other. If you guys are into romances where two characters are forced together in forced proximity, it's enemies to lovers romance, it involves like a resort, then definitely pick this one up because I'm literally going to pick it up as soon as possible. But anyways, that is it for all the summery reads to bring with you to the beach or to the cottage or to a different country. I don't know where you guys are going, but go bring these books with you. And if you guys are like me, where unfortunately we're stuck at home still, it's okay because books will be there for us and we'll have our imagination, I guess. But until next time, I'll see you guys again with a new video. Bye.